Hey everybody, what's going on? In this video, I'm going to talk about the Hawaii earthquake and how it is interrelated back to the North Korean missile scare that they got in Hawaii on January 13th. And a lot of it goes back to the Great American Eclipse and a lot of the moon symbolism that is going on in the media, among other things. Celebrity deaths, lots of stuff connected to the moon. If you're new to this channel, please check out some of the links in the description. It explains a lot more of what I'm going to talk about and why I'm talking about it. But Gematria is the practice of coding numbers into words and phrases. It's geometry within language. And it stems back to Jewish mysticism, which is called Kabbalah, that is the belief that God created the world by merging the letter with the number. And the more that you study this, you will absolutely see what I'm talking about is true. We live in some type of mathematical code that exists around us. There's signs and symbolism every day. And if you learn Gematria, you'll understand a lot more of what these signs and symbolism things mean. I mean, if you've been following what I've been saying, I've been talking about earthquakes like no other. Like every post has been about an earthquake, just they've all been about earthquakes. And here we are, we got an earthquake in Hawaii, a 6.9, which is even more interesting. And it might be hard to follow, but just bear with me. What I was talking about with earthquakes, it is all synced up to bridge symbolism. There's something going on with bridges, and I've been mentioning this, and we had a bridge collapse in the Miami area on the day that the March Madness began. That bridge collapse happened 51 days before this earthquake. And in Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words and phrases, the word Hawaii just so happens to equal 51. I'll show you really quick. Hawaii equals 51. And it's also interesting because Hawaii also equals 111. And if you go from the North Korean missile scare to the day of this earthquake, it was 111 days. So 111 days after the North Korean missile scare in Hawaii, we get an earthquake, and Hawaii in Gematria equals 111. So right there, I know there is a connection to North Korea in regards to this earthquake and then the Korean missile scare. And if you were paying attention, Kim Jong-un and Moon Jae-In, or however you pronounce his name, the South Korean leader, they got together on the 117th day of the year this year to supposedly end the Korean War. And the reason that's interesting, it was the 117th day of the year. The word bridge equals 117. And even in the CNN article, they even talked about how they were building bridges. And there's been lots of stuff with bridge symbolism connected to earthquakes. I'll come back and explain a little bit more and touch up a little bit on the bridge stuff, but I want to show some interesting things. Although they met and they're supposedly building a bridge on the day that syncs up with bridges, it's seemingly connected to something such as World War III. Because in Gematria, if you write out Kim Jong-un, his name equals 42 and 114. And if you write out World War, it equals 42 and 114. And think about the connections to Hawaii in regards to World War. Pearl Harbor, 114, just like World War, just like Kim Jong-un. Other thing, Holocaust equals 114 in Gematria, just like World War. I mean, what are the odds? And look at this, Moon Jae-In, 42, just like World War. And in this news article with about these guys when it first came out. They said that Kim Jong-un visits South Korea and calls for a new history. And they highlighted new history in this media article. And right off the bat, I knew the word history equaled 42 in Gematria, just like World War, just like Kim Jong-un, just like Moon Jae-In. And then the word new by itself also equals 42 in Gematria. But what really stuck out to me was the new history in itself, the way it's quoted in Gematria equals 156. And if you read out World War III, that equals 156. And if you recall, Dennis Rodman doing his basketball diplomacy and all of that, Dennis Rodman, he played 911 games in the NBA, and 911 is the 156 prime number. And basketball diplomacy equals 114, like World War. And last year, Dennis Rodman arrived in North Korea 156 days after Kim Jong un's 33rd birthday. And if you write out 33, it equals 156. And there's been a lot of stuff going on with the moon symbolism as well. And it's really connected to the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. The Eagles won the Super Bowl. Then just after that, on St. Valentine's Day, we got the Stoneman Douglas shooting, and the mascot there was the Eagles. And we also had the Falcon Heavy launch of Elon Musk, and it was the tribute to David Bowie and the song Space Oddity, right? The song Space Oddity was released just a few days before the Eagle landed on the moon in the year 1969. You know, you can go way back, and even like Chester Bennington, he died from the band Linkin Park, and he died on the anniversary of the Eagle landing on the moon. It was 33 days before the Great American Eclipse, right? The first total solar eclipse in 99 years. That was important. The moon. We had Chris Cornell. That's why Chester Bennington supposedly killed himself. It's because of Chris Cornell, the guy from the band Soundgarden that wrote the song Black Hole Sun about the eclipses, right? And just think about it. The guy from Linkin Park, and then the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, the original one in 1929, even happened in Linkin Park in Chicago. Lots of stuff syncing up to this moon stuff connected to the Eagle landing on the moon in 1969, which that was what Neil Armstrong got to the moon with, right? And walked on the moon, right? The first guy to walk on the moon. And just think about the South Korean president. His name is Moon Jae-In, or however you pronounce it. Moon, whatever. It says Moon right in his name. And think about all these 156s. World War. They highlight new history. You know, Dennis Rodman arriving 156 days after Kim Jong un's birthday. If you go from the Great American Eclipse to Moon Jae-In's birthday, it just so happens to be 156 days. Let me show this here really quick. His birthday's January 24th. The Great American Eclipse happened on August 21st. So to the guy with the name Moon, his birthday is 156 days later. And the last time that there was a total solar eclipse, it was in the year 1918. Well, it was on June 8th of 1918, and then World War I came to an end on 11/11 of 1918. So that the last time there was a total solar eclipse that went across the United States, 156 days later, World War I came to an end. Also, what sticks out so much about Hawaii in regards to this is that Hawaii became a state on August 21st of 1959. So this year on the Great American Eclipse, Hawaii became a state for 59 years, right? Became a state in 59. It was its 59th anniversary of being a state on the Great American Eclipse this year. Also, the last time that there was a big earthquake in Hawaii was 1975. The most powerful earthquake since 1975. That earthquake happened on November 29th, 1975. So 42 years ago. World War equals 42, remember? And the anniversary of the 42nd anniversary was 156 days before we got this new earthquake, right? So yet again, another 156. It really sticks out because I'll leave a video link in the description about the Mexico earthquake where I talked about the moon is synced up to earthquakes like no other. Every time there's a special moon, there's always some type of earthquake that goes along with it, it seems. If you notice too, it was also 5 months and 5 days, and the word earthquake equals 55 in Gematria. Just type it out for you really quick. Earthquake, 55, and also North Korea equals 55. If it'll let me type it here. North Korea, 55. Little bonus note here. Kim Jong-un and Dennis Rodman's birthdays are 125 days apart. Go figure, you know. And Moon Jae-In was born in the year 53, right? Born on 24/1, or how I did it wrong there. 24/1, that's the 53rd prime, 241. And 1953 was also the year that the Korean War came to an end, so craziness. Also, what's interesting is that if you go from the North Korean missile scare in Hawaii to the day that they met on the 117th day of the year, Kim Jong Un and Moon Jae-In, it's a span of 3 months and 14 days, which is interesting because in satanic gematria, the word eclipse equals 314. And the word eclipse also equals 69. And think about this earthquake being a 6.9. Let me find the picture here so you can see. A 6.9 earthquake. The word eclipse equals 6.9. World War III in another form here. World War III, 69. So it's got all of these interrelated connections. Kim Jong-un, according to Swiss records, his birthday's even 7/5, July 5th, so. Also, think about 69 in regards to the moon. The moon landing that happened in the year 1969, and it happened during the sign of Cancer, and the astrological symbol of Cancer. Let's type it out here. The symbol looks like a 69, right? So the moon landing happens in 1969 during the sign of Cancer that looks like a 69 even. Hawaii is also very fitting for the moon symbolism because in Gematria, Hawaii equals 51. Remember Hawaii, what I talked about at the beginning? Hawaii equals 51. Look what the word moon equals. Moon equals 51. Also, Hawaii is super fitting for the moon symbolism yet again because the last time that there was a total solar eclipse that was even visible in any part of the United States was on July 11th, 1991, which was only seen for part of Hawaii, right? So yet again, Hawaii has this connection to total solar eclipses. The anniversary of Hawaii being a state just so happened to fall on the day of the Great American Eclipse. And this last one was in the year 1991, which is really fitting. Think about Dennis Rodman, who wore the number 91 for the Chicago Bulls, and the space race supposedly came to an end in the year 91. The word rockets equal 91. The word space equals 91. Apollo equals 91. Apollo was the original moon landings. Asteroid equals 91. So just really fitting, that it would be the year 91. So if you go from the Great American Eclipse to January 13th, the North Korean missile scare day in Hawaii, is 145 days. And of course, North Korea in reverse equals 145. Just like the word Catholic equals 145. And last summer, I documented all kinds of stuff with the Houston Rockets. And also, it later turned into all of this stuff that was connected to the Jesuits, which Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope. And what's interesting about all of this stuff I was talking about with bridge symbolism, lots and lots of bridge things going on, but the word pontiff, like Pope Francis, pontiff means bridge builder. And the word pope in Hebrew Gematria equals 81. And Pope Francis is 81 years old this year. And he turned 81 days after the Jesuit anniversary. And I've documented about the Golden Gate Bridge a lot in regards to earthquakes. The Golden Gate Bridge will be 81 years old this year on May 27th, or it'll be opened for 81 years. And in Gematria, Golden Gate Bridge equals 81 in the small way forward and the small way in reverse. So it has this connection to 81. Kim Jong-un's supposed birthday with the American records and from Dennis Rodman is January 8th, which is a lot like 81. In most parts of the world, they rate the date as 8/1, right? So a lot like an 81. He's also, there's just so many things connected to the Jesuits with the Korean War, such as the Korean War supposedly lasted for 3 years, 1 month, and 2 days. 312. And in Gematria, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, which is Pope Francis's real name, equals 312. And the word Pope also equals 312 in Sumerian Gematria. And the Jesuits are in their 477th anniversary this year. 477 equals 312. And they were founded by guys such as Ignatius of Loyola, who became a saint on March 12th, and also Francis Xavier, who died on December 3rd, which in most parts of the world, they rate the date as 3/12. Also, if you go from the Jesuit anniversary to Kim Jong-un's birthday, so September 27th to January 8th, it's a span of 3 months and 12 days. And Kim Jong-un became the leader of North Korea on the date of December 17th of 2011, which just so happens to be Pope Francis's 75th birthday. What are the odds of that, you know? His dad dies on Pope Francis's 75th birthday. He becomes the leader. He's got all these connections to the Jesuits. Even his 7/5 supposed Swiss birthday to the Jesuit anniversary, it's 84 days before it. The word Jesuit equals 84. You know, interesting, the Jesuit also equals 42, like Kim Jong-un in World War. Also, Kim Jong-un's grandpa, the guy who was the leader of North Korea during the Korean War, he died it's either 84 days before or after his birthday. Even guys like Dennis Rodman, his real name, Dennis Keith Rodman, equals 84. If you remember last year when he went to North Korea on June 13th, he was wearing that pot coin shirt. The word pot coin equals 312, just like the word Pope, just like Jorge Mario Bergoglio. You know, the day he arrives, they release Otto Worm Beer. That's how you say that kid's name, Otto Worm Beer. Show you a picture of him here. There's his pot coin shirt too. They release Otto Worm Beer the day Dennis Rodman arrives, right? Worm Beer. Dennis Rodman's nickname is the Worm. I mean, come on. It's a joke. Dennis Rodman also had the stuff about releasing Kenneth Bay. Kenneth Bay just happened to be born on 8/1, August 1st, another 81 to fit with the bridge symbolism. Even more that goes along with the bridge symbolism is that Eisenhower became the president in 1953, and then in July of 1953, that's when the Korean War came to a standstill or whatever, not completely an end, but Eisenhower was the president who loved to play the card game Bridge. What are the odds of that? The president who loved to play the card game Bridge was the president when the Korean War came to an end. The president for the majority of the Korean War was Harry S. Truman. And if you want a little more moon knowledge, Donald Trump won the election in 2016, and it was the biggest election upset since the year 1948 when Harry S. Truman upset Thomas E. Dewey. But what's interesting about that year, 1948, it was also the year of the closest supermoon since the year 2016. And we got that closest supermoon just days after Donald Trump was selected to be the president on the anniversary of the Berlin Wall coming down. The guy who wants to build the wall. And then they bring back the TV show with LeBron James called The Wall. And they have the movie The Great Wall of China that comes out. They've been working on these for years, and they just they have them perfectly planned to come out with the guy who wants to build the wall. But that was in the year 48, that closest supermoon, and the biggest election upset since the year 48. The Indians were also in the World Series. They last won the World Series in 1948, and they were in the World Series that year. But anyway, the word wall equals 48. Look at Donald Trump. Donald Trump equals 48. And look at Harry S. Truman. That's what everybody called him, Harry S. Truman. 176 and then 148 in reverse. Look at Donald J. Trump. 176 in reverse, 148 in the other way. So the opposite of Harry S. Truman, right? All of these things go back to the 1948 election. Donald Trump has all of these parallels to things like that. So how interesting. And let us not forget that Donald Trump attended a Jesuit university, Fordham University, and his birthday is 187 days before Donald Trump's, and his Republican National Convention was 187 days before he became the president or before he took office. And, the Jesuits are called the Society of Jesus, that equal 187 in Gematria. You want to know who really, the Jesuits are really important to the founding of the United States as well. But 187, interesting, Washington, D.C. equals 187. And just look at it. United States of America equals 84. Revolutionary War equals 84. We got our independence supposedly from George III, 84. Just like the word Jesuit. And you can't forget the president who's supposedly from Hawaii, Obama, his birthday 84, and a Jewish gematria, his name even Obama equals 84. And there's something still synced up to what I was talking about in 2015, and that's why the bridge and earthquake symbolism is important. So just keep that in mind. Obama, there's something special about him. I think what sticks out to me in regards to that the last great American eclipse that was on 6/8 of 1918, the year that World War I came to an end, there's lots of 68 symbolism that's going on. We just had the death of Barbara Bush, and her birthday is on 6/8, and it's the 159th day of the year. Donald Trump equals 159. Talked about a lot about him, synced up to Herbert Hoover, the stock market crash, Herbert Hoover, 159, and whatever else. I'm not going to go off on that, but just keep in mind there's something important to Obama. That number 68, though, 6-8, the date of that eclipse that was 156 days before World War One. It's really interesting, especially in regards to 9/11, because the company who built the World Trade Center, I can't think of the name, something Clementic Associates, that equals 156 in Gematria, which is the 911th. 911 is the 156th prime number. And George Bush's birthday was 68 days before 9/11, and he graduated Yale Skull and Bones in the year 68, 33 years before 9/11 happened. Remember, 33, if you write it out, equals 156. World Trade Center construction began in the year 68, and 1968 was also the year 911 was made the emergency dialing code. So there's something really important to it. Donald Trump, what is it? Donald John Trump equals 68 in Gematria. Barack Obama equals 68 in Gematria. Pope Francis with the S exception equals 68 in Gematria. Prince Charles equals 68 in Gematria, and that supermoon in the closest since 1948 just so happened to happen on Prince Charles's birthday, November 14th, his 68th birthday, I believe. Could be wrong. Can't remember. I think it was his 68th birthday that supermoon happened on. His name equals 68. It was just before Donald Trump, or just after Donald Trump won the election. What are the odds all these prominent men in the United States, or prominent men throughout the world, have the same name gematria? So it's definitely, there's something with that 68. So one last thing I want to talk about is just that when I was talking about all these connections to North Korea and the Jesuits, it was right around the time of the USS Fitzgerald boat crash, right? And I'll leave a link to them videos in the description because there's a whole lot that goes with it. But I just find it interesting because remember, a couple months after that, we got the USS John S. McCain crash, and that just so happened to happen on the same day as the Great American Eclipse, right? And think about John McCain. He was just in the news, like a headline today, about not wanting Donald Trump at his funeral or something like that. And he's probably going to die soon, and he's 81 years old, right? That bridge number that's connected to the Pope and whatnot. So just interesting. USS John S. McCain. I think this was like his grandpa or something of the sort. And when he was in the military, he was also on the ship called the USS Enterprise. And the USS Enterprise was a tracking and measuring station for John Glenn on his Friendship 7 mission where he supposedly orbited the Earth, right? So just interesting stuff. So while it seems they're bridging the gap, you know, Donald Trump even told that, or Pope Francis even told Donald Trump that, Christians don't build walls, they build bridges. But while it seems that they're building bridges, there's a whole lot of World War coding that's seemingly behind it. Whether it's this year or what, it seems interesting. There's a lot of stuff that connects back to it. So something to keep think about. We even got this story today about this guy Kim Jong, or however you say his name, the guy from The Hangover, and he just so happened to be he's South Korean, or he's from Detroit, but his parents are South Korean. And we got this story 69 days before his birthday, or the story happened 69 days before his birthday of him saving someone in the audience. And they kept calling him Dr. Ken. That equals, of course, 312 in Gematria. His name equals 81. It's probably why we got this story about him. I put in some stuff about LeBron James in here too. LeBron James is really important to all of the Donald Trump stuff. He even went to, the Cleveland Cavaliers even visited the White House after winning the same day Donald Trump went and visited on November 10th of 2016, the day that leaves 51 days in the year. And remember moon equals 51. Donald Trump said he was Batman at the Iowa State Fair in the helicopter ride. Batman equals 51. Helicopter equals 51. The Cavs won for the first time in 51 years. LeBron James equals 51. Donald Trump gave his Republican National Convention. He did that at Quicken Loans Arena just after the Cavs won, and that's where the Cavs play. Quicken Loans equals 51. Just all kinds of stuff with the number 51 synced up to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who won their Cleveland sports championship for the first time in 51 years. And if you notice, LeBron James, the big way, equals 114 in Gematria. And what I talked about before with Dennis Rodman was that basketball diplomacy equals 114. And Rodman visited North Korea 114 days before the Miami Heat won the NBA Finals in 2013 with LeBron James. So he visited 114 days before the Heat. Heat equals 114 in Jewish. And LeBron James equals 114. So interesting, 114. LeBron James also born in the year 84, and he was actually born 51 weeks after Kim Jong Un. So interesting, another a 51. I also pointed out that LeBron James he's really important to the Jesuits. His birthday was 3 months and 3 days after the 444th anniversary of the Jesuits. And in Sumerian Gematria, Jesus equals 444. So does cross. Anything that equals 74 equals 444. And Jesus supposedly died at the age of 33. So think about it. 3 months, 3 days. LeBron's 33 years old this year. The 444th anniversary of the Jesuits, and he was born 3 months and 3 days after it. Has all these connections to North Korea, World War. But yeah, well, I'm going to end the video here. You get the gist of things. If you're still listening and you're new, please apply this for yourself. I mean, you won't be disappointed. Just pay attention to the things that are going on in the media. Pay attention to the things that are going on in your own life, and you'll start to see these patterns. It'll take some time, but I'm telling you, it's all around us every day. And when you really become aware of it, you'll see all of these moon patterns and how they're interrelated into other things, or just you'll see a pattern and how it's interrelated into some other things and whatever. So I'm also going to leave a link to this video I made in 2015. I've been saying how everything that's been going on this year is synced up to what I was saying in 2015. And I noticed that the Great American Eclipse to May 3rd, which was the day that the volcano first erupted before the earthquake in Hawaii, it was a span of 8 months and 12 days. And in 2015, I made a video about World War III. A possible date could be 8/12, August 12th of 2016. And of course, it didn't happen. No big deal. I didn't know if it would. I didn't say that in the video. I just showed some interesting things that were connected to it. But just seeing this, it just makes me wonder if there's something connected to August 12th of this year just because of all the 2015 stuff, or, possibly not. But I'll leave a link to this video. But I just knew August 12th. There's a lot to it. I'm not even going to explain it. But it was an interesting thing with the way World War One ended and how World War Two began and whatnot. So, hopefully you get the gist of it. What in the world happened? But have a good one. Peace.